finally got my hands on the ESP Ouija guitar, so let's see what it sounds like. Squealing Guitar is the home of luxury shred machines here in Nottingham, England, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at the infamous Ouija guitar. It's the Kirk Hammett signature in red sparkle and it's from LTD by ESP. I've always wanted to play one of these guitars. I love Metallica, and especially when I was learning my first shred licks, Kirk Hammett and all of Metallica were a big inspiration to me. Today's video is going to be split into a couple of sections. The first chapter, we're going to talk about the history of Kirk Hammett's guitars and his signature models. In the second chapter, we're going to look over the Ouija red sparkle that we have in stock today. In the third chapter, we're going to hear the tones. And in the fourth chapter, you're going to hear my final thoughts and opinions on this guitar. So feel free to skip through this video if you'd like to just get to the Ouija that we have in stock today. But let's hear about the history. It was around 1990 when Metallica's guitarist Kirk Hammett approached ESP with the idea of making a guitar that used the graphic elements from the Hasbro's classic Ouija board Mystical board game. Back then, before the age of digital cameras and internet communication, creating a guitar like this took some ingenuity. ESP got a Ouija board and used a combination of a copy machine and a pair of scissors to properly position the art elements on the guitar's body. They then faxed the result to the ESP custom shop in Japan, and the rest is history. The Ouija guitar became one of the most well-known and coveted signature models in ESP's history. The first version of the guitar was a one-off custom model for Kirk's use only. It wasn't until 2010 that ESP acquired the rights to sell the Ouija guitar to the public. Since then, ESP has done several special limited edition versions of the Ouija guitar, and for 2019, they brought it back in an ESP and LTD versions with the purple sparkle and red sparkle with the classic Ouija board graphic in gold. These are the guitars that we have in today. ESP and Kirk Hammett have made several models over the years, including the KHV, metallic gold, red sparkle, and black sparkle, the limited 30th anniversary KH3 Spider, which featured an awesome graphic on a Les Paul inspired body, the KH2 neck through body, which is very similar to the Ouija. Then we had the ESP KH Demonology, which we actually do have coming in stock soon. And then we have the KHWZ, which had the white zombie graphic on. There were so many signature models released at ESP and LTD level. I'll make sure to include as many as I can in today's video. In more recent times, Kirk Hammett has worked with Gibson, but we're not going to include them signature models in today's video as this is about ESP. So here's what you get when you buy the limited edition Kirk Hammett Ouija. So you've got this awesome ESP kind of gun case with the Ouija name there and Kirk Hammett's signature. So let's flip it down and open it up. Okay, here we are. So, one latch, two latches, three latches, done. So we open it up, and there we are. We have the iconic Ouija guitar. I love how they put the ESP here, and this case just feels amazing. It's a bit like the Ibanez cases. So obviously, you get the guitar. This is the ESP kind of Horizon model, basically, with the graphic over and the heavy metallic finish. In terms of other stuff you get a certificate of authenticity, which came with all of the Ouija guitars. What I really like about this is it's actually, it looks like a Ouija board, right? So it's got all the kind of graphic on it, and you obviously got your serial number. This is 23 out of 500 and has Kirk Hammett's signature there. There's a lot of counterfeit Chinese replicas of these Kirk Hammett models, so make sure you get the certificate of authenticity to confirm it's the right one. Get a little polish cloth, which is really cool. Obviously your whammy bar. Then you have your Allen keys, extra strings, and your case keys. So everything you need to be rocking. So let's talk about the specs. So now we're just going to run over the specs of this beautiful guitar. So obviously this came in a red sparkle finish with the gold graphic. You'd also see these limited edition models come in purple. 500 limited of each finish. We have two EMG pickups in here. These are active pickups, so you'll need a 9-volt battery in the back. These are the Kirk Hammett Bone Breaker pickups. They're very high output, but I actually found them to be quite twangy. when you roll down the volume, and they did actually have a very nice dynamic response. My best experience with EMGs so far. We have a neck through construction, which looks very, very nice. The neck is 3 pieces of maple, so it's very, very strong with a volute, so then the headstock's all safe. We have that neck through construction into an older body, which has some really nice comfort carving on the back, and it just looks very aesthetically pleasing, looks a bit like a sports car. And then we have a Mikasa ebony fingerboard. On this one, it actually looks very brown. I would consider this was rosewood when I first looked at it, but on the website it does say Mikasa ebony, so keep that in mind. In terms of inlays, we have moons all the way up to the 12th fret, and then from the 12th fret onwards, we have stars. The carve is a thin U. I found it quite wide, quite thin as well. Obviously, I'm not used to playing these kind of shreddy guitars, so it was quite uncomfortable at the start, but I got used to it as I went. We then got the same finish on the headstock, so that red sparkle with the LTD logo and Kirk Hammett signature. We've got LTD tuners in black. We've got obviously the Floyd Rose system again in black, and we've got 2 volumes, so you can control neck with this one, bridge with this one, and then you got your tone and a 3-way selector switch. Other than that, that's pretty much all the specs of this guitar. I found it very, very comfortable to play. After a few minutes of adjusting from obviously playing a lot of Gibson guitars, let's hear this bad boy in action and play some Metallica. My final thoughts on this guitar. I think it is awesome. I love the graphic. I love the cheesy kind of sparkle finish. Everything about this guitar is over the top, but that's what I love. And I think the Ouija kind of board look from the Hasbro board game, honestly, is just so iconic. Very kind of metal and a little bit demonic. I like it. In terms of the pickups, I'm not usually a fan of active pickups, but these pickups were surprisingly quite dynamic. Depending on how much gain I obviously had on the amp, I could actually get a really nice clean tone. It was very compressed, but it was very 80s, 90s Metallica. It was very reminiscent of the One soundtrack. It's very reminiscent of the track 1 and Fade to Black. You could really get them tones easily with a vintage chorus pedal on it. The Floyd Rose system stayed in tune amazingly, and surprisingly I didn't have too much problem with the neck. Normally I like quite rounded, thick necks. This was the complete opposite, very wide and thin, but it still felt decent. I wouldn't personally pick up one of these guitars myself, but in terms of like an iconic piece of Metallica history, it is really cool. These guitars were limited to 500 in each finish, so they are pretty rare, for presuming that ESP usually do a lot of mass-produced guitars. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you think of this guitar, and make sure to leave a comment and like down below if you've enjoyed today's video. Consider subscribing. At 2,000 subscribers, we're going to be giving away a guitar, so make sure to be subscribed to be entered, and make sure to hit that bell icon to be notified when we make a new post. But thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next Squealing Big Guitars video. Keep rocking, guys. See you soon.